morning, Tallahassee. I'm student meteorologist Dylan Lee.
And I'm meteorologist Jay Carsons. Welcome to our final show of the week here. It's Friday, September 22nd, the night before FSU football finally makes its return to Tallahassee. I could not be any more excited for that.
I am so excited. I'm glad to get back into the football spirit.
Yeah, and well, before that, we got to talk a little bit of weather here. Of course, we have our forecast for tomorrow's game coming up later on in the show. Around town today, well, we're at the first day of fall as well.
Yes.
Football aside. 4:02 p.m., we officially reached astronomical autumn here, and it doesn't really feel like it.
No, it doesn't. It was hot. I was sweating on my way over to the studio and on my way home this afternoon, too.
Yeah, I've seen the weather stem readings getting up in that the high 80s. I believe I saw a 90-degree observation earlier at Tallahassee Airport where when you have the overview here, we're going to be talking about some of those temperatures as well as a couple showers. Trying to creep their way in as of, what, about 6 o'clock?
Yeah,
right
about
now?
6 o'clock they were trying to creep their way in, but staying off. We'll see later on, though.
Actually, how about we go take a look at it right now? Dylan, you got our little overview of what's to come in tonight's show.
Yeah, all right. So the temperatures, the high temperatures for around the region, really seeing those upper 80s and those 90-degree temperatures. You can see in Tallahassee, our high was 90 degrees. Quincy was also 90 degrees. Mariana at 91 as well. But you can see Valdosta and Apalachicola, the cooler spots on the map. Apalachicola cooler because of that sea breeze bringing in those cooler temperatures. Here are the showers that we mentioned earlier, staying over in Madison County, not really coming into our area, still away from Jefferson, not into Leon County for us. So really not going to be a problem. Might dissipate by later tonight, but we'll see that. Speaking of tonight, we're going to see a forecast of 72 degrees. So it's a cool night, very few passing clouds, just a great, comfortable kind of day. Wind out of the east-northeast at 5 miles per hour. So if you're going out to hang out with friends and enjoy the start of the weekend, it'll be a great day. And your weather headlines, we're going to see the hot temperatures stick around for the week. Football forecast coming up later in the show. And these rain chances are definitely going to stick around for the weekend. But now I'm going to send it back to Jake at the desk.
All right, thanks a lot, Dylan. We're going to be hearing from you a lot more later on in the show, as well as having you in the lab. We're going to reveal the answer to yesterday's trivia question, which I totally did not just give away on the opening desk segment right here. But before all that, wanted to just kind of review some of the things that are going to be going on with tomorrow's football game, especially for those of you that are new to Florida State. There's some pretty special things going on. For instance, the block party at Clayman Plaza tonight, if you're interested in getting out there for any of those festivities the night before kickoff, even though, of course, it is a bit of an early football game tomorrow with a 12 p.m. kickoff at Doak Campbell Stadium. That being said, you also have the Marching Chiefs that are going to be doing the Skull Session tomorrow morning, which is essentially a pregame concert that they host essentially every home game at Dick Howser Stadium, the baseball field right next door to Doak. Some of the policies you'll have to keep in mind here, there's a clear bag policy here, so you're not going to be able to just bring any bag you want into the stadium. You also cannot bring umbrellas. Of course, we're going to be talking about the possibility of some stray afternoon showers and storms in the area here. So keep that in mind. You're going to want to bring a poncho, and of course, with the hot temperatures we're expecting with such an early game time, for those of you that remember the Charleston Southern game last year, it is going to be a hot one, and the sunscreen is not a recommendation, but I would say an absolute necessity out there. So with that being said, I think it's time to go out here to the wall and give you a little bit more of a detailed look at our local forecast, starting off with what's going on currently in Tallahassee. We're sitting at 89 degrees, partly cloudy skies, although we do have a little bit of a rain shower trying to move its way in from the east here, this little sea breeze sort of line that we've been tracking for the last couple of hours or so. We're sitting at a dew point of 68 degrees, so not quite as horrifyingly muggy as it was here yesterday. Winds are out of the northeast at 7 miles per hour, sort of moderating that humidity just a little bit, and that's what's been helping to keep things just a little bit more dry out here today compared to a very stormy afternoon yesterday. Temperature-wise, very hot out there. It does not feel like the first day of fall at all. Well, actually, it sort of does. But you wouldn't really see it when you see these temperatures. 88 in Quincy, 91 in Bainbridge. Not really too far from average is really the point of what I was saying there. 90 degrees currently in Wilma, 85 down by the coast in Apalachicola. So feeling the heat really anywhere you look. Valdosta being the cool spot. Still in the mid-80s in those dew points. Just a few degrees down from what we had yesterday. We had those low to mid-70s in Tallahassee and the immediate surroundings, but some areas are still trying to be stubborn here and crack the 70-degree point. Carabel especially sitting at 73 down by the coast. They're used to seeing all that down there. And what exactly does all that mean? Well, we have our dew point scale. We're sitting in a fairly moderate, but getting to that uncomfortable phase here when you're walking outside. The outdoor activities, not exactly ideal, but us as Floridians, we're used to all this. So a dew point of 68 around town isn't really too bad considering what we've had to deal with really for the entirety of the summer around here. The winds aren't really telling too much of a story immediately here. When you look at this, 7 miles per hour out of the northeast here in Tallahassee, as well as 8 in Perry. When we zoom out to the southeast, you'll see a little bit more of this broad scale pattern, which is helping to influence this, this wind regime that we have around here. Tonight's forecast, we're looking at a low of about 72 degrees. A few passing clouds. All these rain chances will be going away once we get towards sunset, although we still could be looking at the possibility of a stray shower storm in the next about hour or so, as we are sitting here pretty close to about 6:30. Winds are going to be out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles per hour. So again, a pretty nice night to get outside, do a little bit of stargazing in advance of tomorrow's game. 12 o'clock kickoff again, 40% chance of showers. This would be primarily in the second half of the game, which may be a good thing to keep those temperatures down a little bit, where we see that high expected to be at about 89 degrees. Winds are going to be out of the east-northeast from 5 to 10 miles per hour. With that low-level humidity that we've been experiencing here and we're continuing to experience, you could be seeing it feeling like about 100 degrees once we get really into the peak of the afternoon. So we're going to be rooting for the cloud cover, not necessarily the rainfall, but just enough to keep those temperatures hopefully down into like the mid-80s or so. For Sunday, we're looking at our highest rain chance of the week, 50% with a high of 88 degrees. You see that temperature just a little bit down, although still maybe just about a tick above average here. Monday, 89 degrees with a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, gradually beginning to taper off, and those highs getting up into the lower 90s early to midweek. So you're not really seeing too much relief in terms of those temperatures. Dylan, you have the southeast.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jake. We're going to start off with a picture from one of our viewers, Shane Pendleton. It's not loading. We're going to just move on from that. Current conditions around the region. You're going to see 82 in Wilmington. The only sunny spot, well, Montgomery as well at 92 and Tupelo. You're seeing a lot of cloud cover for most of the southeast. 91 in New Orleans. Down in Orlando, though, they're seeing 79, and in my hometown of Miami, 82 degrees. So it actually is cooler in my hometown than it is in Tallahassee. We're feeling not good here. Current dew point, though, much higher in Miami at 81 degrees, and Tallahassee sitting at 68. So it's feeling more oppressive and more muggy outside than it is in Miami. But you're seeing New Orleans at 71 degrees, Shreveport at 69, Little Rock at 66. Let's look at the current heat index. The highest heat index right now, New Orleans, 99 degrees. That's trying to break that 100-degree feel-like temperature outside. So what heat index is the temperature it feels like outside, not the temperature that it actually is. So for us in Tallahassee, we're feeling like it's 94 degrees outside. Savannah, 89. Wilmington, at 85. Down in Miami, though, 95. Looking at those that satellite radar, you can kind of see this clockwise rotation. There's an area of high pressure, sitting on that border of Tennessee and Kentucky that's above this banner. We'll look at that in the next graphic. You can see all these winds kind of in that clockwise rotation. Not a lot of showers around, so keeping things kind of nice for most of the southeast. Tonight's forecast, though, you're seeing cooler temperatures around the region. Hot spot right now, Key West at 80 degrees. Cool spot, though, Wilmington at 66. That is a nice fall-like temperature, though, for the region, but for us, it is not feeling that great. 70 in Tupelo, 69 Atlanta, 75 over in New Orleans, 72 in Little Rock. Shreveport seeing 73 degrees as well. So we're feeling kind of those fall temperatures for the northern part of the southeast. For the southern part, it is still feeling like summer. Tomorrow's forecast, we're going to see 85 degrees in Wilmington, seeing that nice kind of clear day. But for the state of Florida, it's looking like a rainy day throughout. You got 89 degrees in Tallahassee with a chance of rain, 88 in Orlando with that same chance of rain, and 91 and 90 in Key West in Miami. So you're going to feel a lot of rain for that part of the state, but for the rest of the southeast, from New Orleans, Shreveport, Little Rock, and Tupelo, you're going to see some sunshine for them. Montgomery seeing some cloud cover, along with Atlanta and Savannah, sitting at 89 degrees in Montgomery, 86 in Atlanta, and 87 in Savannah. Right now, I'm going to send it back to the desk with Jake to talk about stuff.
All right, thanks a lot, Dylan. We haven't really said much about the hurricane activity in the Atlantic, with everything that's been going on the last few weeks or so. We have more later on with the show. Margaret's going to have our detailed tropics segment, as Tropical Depression Lee has actually made a comeback out in the open Atlantic. But what I wanted to touch up on here is some of the readings that we've been getting in. A little bit of Hurricane Harvey recap. As you may remember, the Houston metro area having been rather devastated by the flooding events associated with Harvey, a very slow-moving Category 4 hurricane at landfall. And these effects were not necessarily just felt in the Houston metro. In fact, the National Weather Service in Lake Charles, Louisiana, just released some observations from the week that Hurricane Harvey made its landfall, August 25th through September 1st was the week of this observational period. They determined that some locations in eastern Texas received over 64 inches of rainfall during the week. For reference here, the record for tropical cyclone-induced rainfall in any given location in the United States is about 52 inches over the mountainous regions of Hawaii. In the continental U.S., it previously was just about 51 inches, which was measured near a little bit, or not too far away from Houston, Texas as well. So just mind-boggling numbers here, and again, confined or really spread out across areas where millions of people have really been affected by these storms. So of course, we're sitting here and rooting that hurricane season's done. We don't want any more of this, although we can be looking potentially at a more active end to the season. For now, we're going to have more about tropics later, but I'm going to talk about what's happening across the rest of the United States. If we pull up the wall here. Current conditions nationally looking like about the same what we've had over the last really few days here. 80s and 90s, the eastern two-thirds of the country all feeling the heat here again. The first day of fall, and it's 94 degrees in Minnesota right now, which is pretty incredible. 10 degrees warmer there than it is in Atlanta, Georgia. So that really gives you just an idea of how hot the plains and really the upper Midwest have been over this really entire week here. Satellite and radar, not really too much across any of these areas where you see all these warm temperatures. A little bit of convective pop-up showers in areas like Mississippi and Alabama. The real area we've been looking at is earlier this morning into the early afternoon hours, a very strong squall line essentially of thunderstorms that developed in Minnesota and moved into the upper peninsula of Michigan. That's where the Storm Prediction Center has been looking at for a potential severe risk, and with this we have the watches, warnings, and advisories here. We got a wind advisory currently over most of Iowa here. Severe thunderstorm warning, you see this in southeastern South Dakota right here, and a red flag warning currently over the eastern Rocky Mountains here getting towards the Denver metro area. So you see this combination of low humidity, high wind speed tends to be favorable for the spread of wildfires in those areas. We still are dealing with the flood issues in Florida as well from Hurricane Irma. As you see right here, these flood warnings, one including Osceola County, which is one of the more populated areas in central Florida here, just south of the Orlando metro. Here was the severe weather outlook issued by the Storm Prediction Center for today, and you see the slight risk, category 2 out of 5 here in northern Minnesota, as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan, really stemming from this big complex of thunderstorms that originated in central Minnesota and moved eastward. That risk has since diminished a little bit for the upper peninsula, but we could still see the threat for some strong thunderstorms across the central and northern plains really through the entirety of the evening here. Here's the radar to show you just that. It was a beast of a line, but now it's moving off into Canada and has weakened ever so slightly. Central and northern Minnesota, areas like Duluth, really got hit hard in the late morning hours here. This produced some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour through its eastward march. If we look at tonight's forecast, you're going to see a lot of the same. 69 degrees in Atlanta for your nighttime low, 74 in Memphis, really that ridging pattern across really the entire central and two-thirds of the U.S. except for the areas being affected by post-tropical cyclone Jose here. Cooler off in the Rockies, 41 Salt Lake City, 35 in Billings, Montana. And tomorrow, well, not really much has changed once again. 94 degrees, partly cloudy skies in Dallas, 86 in Atlanta, and 89 here in Tallahassee with the threat of some scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. But let's zoom back into a more local look at things where Margaret.
Thanks, Jake. Bringing back things into the tri-state area around Tallahassee, the day trip range for those looking to go on a weekend day trip, although I don't know why you'd want to skip out on FSU football. Currently 89 degrees here in Tallahassee. Panama City, nice beach weather there, 84 degrees with beautiful sunny skies and sun north and west of there too. As you get up into Montgomery, it's hot there, 92 degrees. Or going over towards Meridian in Mississippi, 86. Looking towards Jacksonville, 83 degrees, and it's just partly cloudy across much of Florida. The other thing that it is across much of the tri-state area is muggy. Dew point here, 68. Doesn't look too bad when you look at it in comparison to Panama City's dew point of 74 degrees. All these dew points are in those mid-60s up and through the mid-70s, which is when it starts getting really uncomfortable, because when you've got high temperatures and high dew points, that means you've got a high heat index. So the heat index here in Tallahassee, 94 degrees. That's what it feels like when you step outside and start doing stuff outside, whether it's mowing the lawn or just taking a walk. That's what it feels like, because the sweat can't evaporate as well. So it feels like it's 95 degrees in Montgomery. For those trying to get to Disney, though, not quite as bad. It feels like it's only 85 degrees in Orlando, which isn't quite so bad. Satellite and radar across the tri-state region is just showing some passing clouds. We're not looking at any major areas of rainfall. The only major rainfall is down off the Space Coast. You can see all these showers here over the Atlantic Ocean, some of them pushing their way through central Florida, helping keep those temperatures down a little bit, but overall a lot of clear skies because of that high pressure off to our north, also directing our winds in a clockwise sort of pattern, and you can see sort of the underside of the clock around the 6 o'clock area where the hand would be sweeping like this and then back north. Those winds are sweeping like that, so you can really see how those winds are being directed by the high pressure to our north. Couple of severe thunderstorm warnings north of Macon, clear here in the Florida Big Bend, and then as we look towards central Florida, there is still flash flooding and flooding concerns left from Irma as rivers and lakes continue to be draining from all the rain that was involved with Irma there. For tonight's forecast, down into the the low 70s, upper 60s, 72 for Tallahassee, 69 for Quincy and Bainbridge. Pretty representative of the entire viewing area with that temperature right around 70 degrees. Just a few passing clouds, but overall it's going to be a nice clear night. Just a light breeze out of the east-northeast at 5 miles per hour. And for tomorrow's forecast, there are some showers possible after 2 p.m. So if you're going to the football game, bring a poncho because you can't bring an umbrella into the stadium. It's going to be a hot one, though. 89 for Tallahassee, 86 for Monticello, 87 for Perry. And as we take a look at the week ahead, you've got the football on Saturday with the highs right around 90. And then the rest of the week, those rain chances on Sunday, and then it clears out the rest of the week for a nice warm week. But now I'm going to send things to the desk with Dylan.
Thank you very much, Margaret. We're going to turn to something that has to do with hurricanes. As we're coming, we've already passed the peak of hurricane season. Something that has happened a lot during this hurricane season, especially with Harvey in Houston, was flooding. And with flooding comes the problem of mold. So when water gets into the house, sits for a while, and gets into furniture and other appliances or things around the house, it can create toxic mold that is unhealthy for the inhabitants of that home. So there are ways to deal with this mold specifically. You should, when an object is infected with water, you should replace it, because having it sit there and accumulate the mold over time is more toxic than trying to disinfect it, or having it sit there and trying to disinfect it is much more of an issue than trying to remove it. If you remove it, you are then guaranteeing that the mold has been removed especially, and there are special equipment to wear when removing mold. So if you do have any flooding this hurricane season, please make sure you remove it appropriately. Right now, we're going to send it back to Margaret with a look at the tropics.
Thanks, Dylan. Here for our tropical update. We're going to jump right on into things and start off taking a look at where we are in hurricane season. Jose is still hanging on. We've got the active tropical storm icon next to Jose, but technically now with how the storm is structured, it's what we call a post-tropical cyclone. Meanwhile, Maria is still a dangerous Category 3 hurricane making its way through the area of the Bahamas. You can see here Maria is still looking rather organized, and the bright pinks show high cloud tops which show intense thunderstorms. So this is still a very strong hurricane making its way through the Bahamas. Meanwhile, post-tropical cyclone Jose, you don't see those bright pink cloud tops, so it's not as well organized of a storm, but it is still spinning away. It's still got that well-defined counterclockwise spin to it. So we are still keeping an eye on it because the strong winds are still kicking up dangerous surf along the New England coastline. Here's a closer look at post-tropical cyclone Jose, and you can really see how well it is still spinning, but the convection, those bright cloud tops, the bright colors on the imagery here just are not there anymore. Jose also can't really decide where it's going. What would be the cone of uncertainty is more of a blob right now. It's expected to just meander around off the New England coastline before finally dissipating. Hurricane Maria, though, much more robust looking, is now to the north of the southeastern Bahamas and is expected to keep skirting along parallel to the Bahamas and the U.S. coastline. We can't quite rule out effects to North Carolina yet, but any effects would be sometime midweek next week, so that's something that we really have to keeping an eye out for. And Tropical Depression Lee reformed as of the 5 o'clock advisory. It's over the central Atlantic and poses no threat to anyone. So now we're going to answer last night's trivia question over in the lab with Dylan.
Thank you, Margaret. We brought back the trivia question from last year, actually, and had the trivia question finally make its return yesterday on the show. And the trivia question was, when does fall start? And our 4 answers were August 1st, September 1st, September 22nd, and August 22nd. So for this question, we were talking about astronomical fall, not meteorological fall. And the correct answer for astronomical fall is September 22nd. For meteorological fall, though, it is September 1st. So the difference there is the astronomical fall is based off the tilt of the Earth. And for meteorological fall, you're talking about the difference trends in temperature and that kind of consistent patterns with the temperature there for sure. But for us, fall started today. We've mentioned it many times today and yesterday, and it is not feeling like fall at all. We are feeling hot, warm, and muggy, and just all around not feeling very good outside. But fall, for meteorological sense, did start earlier this month, and it's not feeling like that at all. We are hoping for those temperatures to drop down just a little bit. We hope that those fronts start to make its way down into Tallahassee's area and cool things off for us here, but just not feeling good. Next week, though, we will have another trivia question on the Thursday show, and we will have someone to answer it on that Friday show as well. But trivia is always one of my favorite parts. You can actually find the trivia questions online and the polls for them on our Twitter at twitter.com/FSU Weather. So for those who want to join along in the playing of this trivia game, you can follow us there. But right now, we're going to send it back to Margaret for a Around Florida look.
Thank you, Dylan. Our current conditions around Florida are pretty warm. Orlando, they were seeing some more cloud cover and some showers earlier, so they're a little bit cooler, 79 degrees. Tampa getting in on the thunderstorm activity now, 86 degrees there in Tampa. Rest of Florida is pretty warm. Everyone else besides Orlando is sitting well above that 80-degree mark, so it is rather warm across the Sunshine State. Satellite and radar here, we can see all those clouds across central and southern Florida. And as the animation catches up, you can see that rain also making its way into central and southern Florida through the afternoon. North Florida, we saw a couple of passing clouds, but no major organized storm activity, so that's why we're looking at some warmer temperatures across North Florida. This is the upper level water vapor. This is the amount of water vapor at levels more like where the airplanes are flying at rather than just where we're walking around. So across much of southern Florida, there's a lot of moisture in the upper levels of the atmosphere as well, while over northern Florida, drier air means less clouds, means more sunshine and higher temperatures. So we are seeing some of that drier air trying to take control here, not quite succeeding. We don't get any of those vibrant oranges like you're seeing over Louisiana there, but we are trying to get some of that drier air. It's not quite here yet. It's not quite feeling like fall, and these dew points really tell you it's not feeling like fall. The dew points are still in the 70s for much of Florida, and the dew point is even 81 down there in Miami. That is a very high dew point that just makes it feel downright miserable. The watches and warnings, a lot of people from Orlando down the turnpike towards Miami are still keeping an eye on their lakes and rivers. The waters from Irma are the rivers are still receding from that with all the rainfall there. So flooding is still a concern. Tonight's forecast for the state of Florida, another nice Florida night, 79 for West Palm Beach and Miami, while 73 here in Tallahassee feels a whole lot better. For tomorrow, football's back in town. There is a chance of some showers, so do bring your poncho. And for the rest of the Sunshine State, showers are also in the forecast. So it's something to keep an eye out for. Now I'm going to hand it off to Dylan for our last local.
Thank you very much, Margaret. Let's take a look at the almanac for today, comparing today to other days, to this day over the past couple of years. And so for today, our high was 90. That is above average, which was the 87. But for our high set back in 1925, 97, we were 7 degrees below that. We are also above average on our low temperature, sitting at 69, nowhere near that fall-like temperature of 49 degrees set back in 1913. Here in Tallahassee, though, we're seeing temperatures of 89 degrees, dew point of 68 degrees, and that humidity 50%, seeing some partly cloudy cloud cover. But looking at that radar, here, let me step to the side. Here in Madison and Taylor County, they're seeing some showers over there, but not for our area right now. So they're staying over to our east, luckily for us, and not bringing that rain that we saw yesterday afternoon that made things uncomfortable. Current temperatures around the region. You can see the cooler spot, Perry, 81 degrees. That's because of that rain, cooling things off there. Same with Valdosta at 84 degrees, Monticello at 87. So feeling that mid to upper 80s around the region, trying to break those 90s. Tonight's, though, we're going to see cooler temperatures for sure. 72 degrees in Tallahassee, 71 in St. Mark's, 73 and 73 in Apalachicola and Carabel. Few passing clouds, but nothing too crazy for us. For our home opener game, though, we're going to see kickoff at 81 degrees, sunny. By halftime, things are going to get very hot. People are going to start sweating. I'm going to start burning. So things are just not going to feel great. But by the closing of the game around 3:30, you're going to see 87 degrees and some showers in that second half of the game. So that might cool things off, but also make things a little more uncomfortable for people attending the game. Tomorrow's forecast, though, seeing 87 degrees for Bainbridge and Quincy for them, and same within Perry and St. Mark's. 40% chance of rain for the region. Showers are possible after 2 p.m., seeing a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind. And for the week ahead, you're going to see that football game tomorrow, 40% chance of rain for that. Sunday, though, still seemed like a hot and wet weekend, 50% chance of rain for them, so it's not feeling like a normal, great weekend we're having there. But for Monday, you're seeing 30% chance of rain, and going back to the rest of the week, we're seeing that 20% chance of rain and those highs of the 90s and the lows in the 70s for the rest of the week. So feeling like a typical Tallahassee summer.
Yep, it still feels like summer here, and it's probably going to keep feeling like summer for a couple more weeks. It takes a little bit longer to feel like fall here in North Florida.
Yeah.
Well, you're from Miami. It
Right,
doesn't ever feel like fall there, does it?
Well, when I saw that the temperatures were warmer here than it was in Miami, it blew my mind. I'm like, I came up here for cool temperatures, and what do I get?
But it's raining there,
yeah.
so.
So here's the 7-day again. You can see those temperatures sticking around in the 90s for the week.
Yep, it's going to be another hot week. We're going to keep those summer temperatures around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll start getting more of those cold fronts where the dew points will get lower and it'll feel like the air temperature rather than 5 to 10 degrees more than the air temperature.
Right, that's for sure. We also already saw FROPA this year with Jordan last week.
Yep.
But hoping for that FROPA counter to go up from 1 to 2 at some point.
It would be nice to see some more cold fronts passing through. FROPA is a meteorological slang for the frontal passage, and we'd really like to see some more fronts passing through to bring those temperatures down a little bit. Hopefully by Halloween we'll be looking at highs more in the low 80s than the low 70s.
Yeah, definitely.
Or the low 90s.
Yeah, no.
And the lows getting towards the low 60s. If you want to check out our forecasts anytime, though, check us out, facebook.com/FSU Weather.
Twitter.com/FSU Weather. You can find our trivia questions there I talked about earlier.
Yep, trivia questions we posted there every Thursday, and then we'll answer them every Friday.
Yeah, we also have our streaming on FSU Weather, youtube.com/FSU Weather/live for the live show, and just normal without the live part for all our archive shows.
Yep. So thank you for watching this Friday night show. We hope you get out to enjoy FSU football tomorrow. Have a great evening. I'm student meteorologist Margaret Hollis.
I'm student meteorologist Dylan Leith. Have a good night.